Hello everyone, it's Jerie again, and I'm coming to you from basically the same place in my apartment, but facing a different direction today. I wanted you to be able to see a different piece of art, namely my poster back there on the wall. It includes several characters from an installment in my favorite series of video games, The Legend of Zelda. Now, video games are an art form all on their own, but that's a reflection for another day. Within video games in general, and very much so specifically within the Legend of Zelda franchise, music plays a huge role in driving the story, the emotion, the action, the thrills and suspense in every part of the game, from the opening theme to rolling the credits. And I say all of that to say this. The immersive nature of music in a video game, in a more intense but similar way to movies and television, adequately describes my relationship with music in real life, in the way that it drives the story, the emotion, the action, the thrills, and suspense in my everyday life. There's always a song in my head. Sometimes it's a song that someone else wrote that describes the situation or my feelings about it, but more often than not, it's just the melodies and harmonies of the world around me. Birds singing, trees swaying, people in conversation, the hum of industrial equipment behind the wall, the churning of a far-off dishwasher, the syncopated footsteps of a man with just a slight limp, a clenching fist in the shape of a heart, as voices in chorus cry out for justice. It's all music to me. Not in the way that music is entertainment, but in the way that music is communication. The driving drumbeat that signals another adventure on the high seas. A sudden crescendo of dissonant strings as we explore the house in which we know. And the mournful brass as our hero descends into the molten metal for his final farewell. Music and conversation are interchangeable. My favorite part of both most of the time is listening. But when I have a chance to create, I savor it. And I long to make it good, because that's my opportunity to tap into the divine. It's connection. When I have the opportunity to stand before you like this and share my words or my music with all of you, whether I can see you staring back at me or just my own face reflected by my webcam, that's when I feel connected to you. Now, listening to what you have to say and sing moves me, especially when you share very deeply from your soul, which we were all blessed to experience last week from the Coming of Age youth, and have been many times before by all of you. Whether it be sung, spoken, written, drawn, inked, painted, digitally rendered, captured on film, cooked, baked, fried, sautéed, or any other form of creation, that is all music to me, in its beauty and grandeur, as well as its ugly humility. I love it when you sing to me, and it inspires me to share deeply from my own soul, to sing to you whatever song best expresses the emotional importance of the moment in time with all of you, whether the song already exists or if I have to write it myself. It was tough to choose a song to express how much that connection through music means to me, but I think this is one of the best. Start by letting you know this. Because of you, my life has a purpose. You help me be who I am today. I see myself in every word you say. Sometimes it feels like nobody gets me. Trapped in a world where everybody hates me. There's so much that I'm going through. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I was broken, I was joking, I was lost, this song saved my life. I was bleeding, stopped believing, could have died, this song saved my life. I was down, I was drowning, but it came on just in time. This song saved my life. closer than we used to be. You're my escape when I'm stuck in the small town. I turn you up whenever I feel down. You let me know like no one else that it's okay to be myself. I was broken, I was choking, I was lost. This song saved my life. I was bleeding, stop believing, could have died. This song saved my life. I was down, I was drowning, but it came on just in time. This song saved my life. You'll never know what it means to me, that I'm not alone and that I'll never have to be. I was broken, I was choking, I was lost. This song saved my life. I was bleeding, stop believing, could have died. This song saved my life. I was down, I was drowning, but it came on just in time. This song saved my life. My life, my life. This song saved my life. My life, my life. This song saved my life. My life, my life. This song saved my life.
Good morning, Jerie Green here. I started taking a watercolor class online through the Ashtabula Art Center, and I had no idea what fun it would be. The process of applying paint to paper and all the different methods. And here is my third week project. I kind of did my own thing, didn't follow the instructor exactly, but here it is, and oh my gosh, what fun.
Hi, I'm Mae Kowalke, and today I'd like to share with you a reflection about how engaging in artistic creation is helping me stay connected with people and stay grounded through anxiety during a very tumultuous time in my life and a lot of other people's lives. Back in January, which seems like a different era now, I adopted polymer clay art as my creative outlet for the new year. At the time, it seemed like a simple choice, something I could get my hands into that wasn't too messy or dangerous around young kids. I fondly remembered making things with polymer clay in high school and imagined creating some little accessories for my kids' action figure sets, like pet sidekicks and animal food. Also jewelry. And at first, that's what I did. Then two things happened. First, I discovered how incredibly versatile polymer clay is. It has been described as the chameleon of the art world because it's a multimedia base for many techniques. People use it with alcohol ink, acrylic paint, chalk pastels, mica powder, and even spices mixed in or applied to the surface. They use it to decorate glass and wood and cardboard objects. They stamp it and sculpt it and carve it. They finish it with resin or varnish or museum wax. All this from a non-toxic polyvinyl plastic you can cure at low temperatures in a home oven or tabletop oven. I realized this medium could keep me playing for years, becoming whatever I needed it to be. Second, COVID-19 arrived on the scene and polymer clay became my art therapy. It's how I center myself when anxiety gets overwhelming. In the early days of the pandemic, the things I made reflected my grappling with the basics of a global health crisis and its local implications. What is this microscopic strand of RNA in a fatty membrane covered in protein spikes, affecting humans around the world in such a macro way? Are toilet paper shortages more hardship or humorous? Then, polymer clay also became a way to connect with people. During the April Art and Spirituality Zoom meetup with Halcyon and Bree, I made myself a chalice to light each week during online live stream service. It's now one of my most treasured possessions because it's a connection with my spiritual community and it's associated with happy memories formed during the pandemic. I joined several polymer clay Facebook groups and have connected with some of the big names in the polymer clay world. Yes, just like so many things, the world of polymer clay comes with its own set of celebrities. Thankfully, this is a very down-to-earth community that readily shares ideas. Experienced artists and newbies from the US, Australia, the UK, and elsewhere share pictures of their creations, join in friendly but lively discussions about which type of glaze or varnish is best, and lament pandemic-driven shortages of certain materials like white clay. As the pandemic drags on, the things I make and the techniques I use change, but polymer clay's role as art therapy and escape endure. When I'm claying, I remember what it's like to be a kid, following my creative whims unhindered. Unlike when I was a kid, however, I'm delighted to find that I now have enough general artistic competence to bring my visions to life decently well. It's very satisfying and a lot of fun. These days, I'm learning CMYK color theory and making mostly non-jewelry items like light switch covers, votives, notebook decorations, and covered pens. Most of these I'll give as gifts to friends and family. I need the escape of artistic creation to emotionally survive this pandemic. To me, the future feels very uncertain. I have few solid ideas about what might realistically change in 3 months, 6 months, or a year. But in the meantime, at least I can plan and create beautiful, functional, fanciful, and fun things. And I can connect with other people in the process of doing so. This art form, this way of playing, helps keep me grounded in the here and now. And in the end, I suppose that's all we really have anyway.
Good morning. My name is Bill Butler. As some of you know, I enjoy photography. This morning I would like to share with you a few thoughts about my hobby. My first real interest in photography started when I was in junior high school. At that time, I received a black and white film printing kit as a gift. I would make our bathroom into a temporary darkroom, develop film, and make contact prints. From there, I borrowed my father's Kodak 35mm camera, and eventually I bought my own 35mm SLR camera, an Olympus OM1. It wasn't until retirement that I started to take photography seriously, which led to the purchase of a digital single-lens reflex camera. My initial photographic interests were nature, landscape, and macro, especially flowers. However, today I've expanded this to architecture, structures, and playing some with what is known as street photography. I am considering trying my hand at still life, but I haven't really done anything with that so far. Once I started to take photography seriously, I quickly realized that I had a lot to learn than where the photo button was. So I joined a photography club, took short courses, seminars, and read photography articles to improve my skills. I get a certain satisfaction of taking a photograph, processing it, and doing my own printing and mounting. When I go out to do photography, I may have a very specific idea of what and how I want to shoot something, or I just may go out and see what grabs me at the moment. Of course, there are numerous variations in between. For instance, in nature photography, you may go someplace where you will have a good chance of seeing a particular animal or bird, but once you see it, you must make a split decision on how you will photograph it. I enjoy hiking and the outdoors, but I'm not one who wants to make this some type of a race to see how fast I can get from point A to point B. I want to absorb the world around me. At this point, I'd like to share two quotes that I like. One is by Maya Angelou, and she states, "I want all my senses engaged. Let me absorb the world's variety and uniqueness." The second quote is by the photographer Dorothea Lange, and Dorothea says, "The camera is an instrument that teaches people to see without a camera." This quote definitely works for me. I am continuously looking around for the next photo op when I'm walking or going on a hike. It doesn't matter whether or not I have a camera with me. Today I see things that a few years back I wouldn't even notice. It's a great hobby, and you have a chance to meet some very interesting people. Though I don't consider myself an artist, I attempt to put art in my photography. And finally, one final quote by Ansel Adams. He states that there are always two people in every picture, the photographer and the viewer. At this time, I would like to share some of my photos.
Have you ever been to open studios? The artist communities in just about every city I'm familiar hold them regularly. In Cleveland, every month, at least during normal times, on the third Friday of every month, there's an art walk where you can wander among artists' works in the context of their own studios and enjoy some cheese and crackers and maybe a cup of coffee and mingle. The energy there is absolutely electric. Everyone is sharing ideas, everybody's getting inspiration. And for every artist, opening their studio is an act of vulnerability because they exposed their ideas behind their art and they expose their work habits and their methods. And yeah, sometimes people see something they like and they think, I can do that, and then they go home and they churn out a bunch of product to sell on Etsy. But the real goal of the open studios is the sharing of ideas. Ideas that inspire an evolution of creativity. And, well, also to sell some art to support the creation of more art. To have product to sell. Here at East Shore, we don't exactly have a product. All we have is a venue for exchanging ideas and inspiring each other to live with greater intentionality, greater connection to the ideals that make the world better. We can't offer you merchandise to buy. All we can offer you is our own vulnerability as we share our reflections the way so many have today. So we need you to send in your pledge checks that will enable us to keep doing what we're doing and continue to provide you with the opportunity to exchange ideas on a regular basis and maybe even inspire each other to live more deeply. Now, unfortunately, while we're physically separated, you'll have to get your own coffee. And if you're new to us, joining us remotely and you haven't pledged, please consider sending us a donation in any amount to support that work of abstract art that we're all contributing to. And while you're at it, introduce yourself here in the comments section or on our Facebook page so that we can get to know you. Thank you for being here with us and supporting us in our work of making the world more creative, more just, and more compassionate.
One a piece of the thought there on your
This morning I'd like to end with the last verse of the prayer that I shared during Joys and Cares, as a benediction, a speaking of good words that will help each of us make of our lives an art. We lift up our hearts, beautiful and bruised, as an offering to life. Today, we will live in the awareness of our potential, allowing the best that we might do to lead us. Grateful for the chance to return to the home of our souls again. Amen.
We join hands in Unitarian Universalist fellowship, pledging ourselves to an individual religious freedom
which transcends all creeds. Not to think alike,
but to journey together.
But to journey together.
Okay, that'll do.